Hi, welcome to Surviving Motherhood. Okay, I have another story for you of the wonder of God's wisdom and faithfulness and just His goodness at not taking my suggestion, but rather always sticking with His own best plans. See, on Saturday this weekend, I spoke for some breakout sessions at a women's retreat in Michigan. And I had a 2-hour break between the first breakout session and the second one. So, I took a little nap and I spent time praying, just praying for the women that God would bring to the second session. And I was praying, I thought what I was praying would be right on par with what God would desire. And my ask was, Lord, would you fill this room up with women who need to be encouraged, who need to hear from you? I'm thinking, there were small rooms, there were only 25 chairs. But I'm thinking, Lord, would you bring in those 25 women? Would you bring in 30? We'll grab some more chairs. I just had in my mind what I thought would be God's best plan to have this room filled with women who needed to be encouraged. Okay? So fast forward a little bit to when the session actually begins, and I'm sitting in the front and I'm just waiting. I was kind of praying and waiting for women to come. And then I heard noise in the back of the room and I turned around and there was one woman. Okay. It was time for the session to begin, and there was no sign of anybody else. So I said, okay, do you mind if I just pull up a chair next to you and we just chat? And so, okay. So I just sat down by her and we started talking a little bit. And then another woman came in and she said, okay, come join us. And I wasn't going to stand up in the front of the room and do this whole great big presentation for 2 women. That just seems a little overboard, right? So we sat there and we talked, and I basically went through the major points that I would have made if there was a large group of women. But there was time for each of these other 2 women to share too, and they had some pretty significant stuff. Both of them did. Very significant stuff that they were going through. And so we talked about that, and we talked about God's faithfulness, and we talked about how God works through our struggles. And we prayed for each other. And we determined that each of us just got 2 new good friends. And that was a beautiful thing, but it was in that, and it was in the praying for each other, that it occurred to me, I had asked God to fill the room with women who needed to be encouraged. And He knew that there were these 2 women who needed to share their story too, who needed not just to hear an encouraging word from Him, but who needed to be able to share their story, who needed to be able to be prayed over and prayed with, who needed to have a couple of new good friends. And I thought, you know what? I had this grand idea, and I thought it was good, and I thought it would have been wonderful for 30 women to hear an encouraging story. But God knew so much better. And I just love to remember that. I love to ponder that. I love to know that He knows. And so I think I'm going to be changing the way I pray. I have ideas of what I think is good, and maybe sometimes they're in line with what He wants. But my prayer is just got to become, Lord, whatever you want. I don't know what you want, but I want what you want, because what He wants is best. Amen? So before I recorded this video, I asked Him to do what He wants. And if what He wants is to encourage you to trust Him more, then I trust that's what He's doing through this word. So wherever you are today, whatever you're facing, whatever prayer you're praying, whatever prayer you think is His will. I pray that God will speak to your heart, that He will encourage you to trust Him in all things, even when it doesn't go the way you think it was going to. Now you go, you have a wonderful, Jesus-full day, knowing that He knows.